So it has been almost 2 years since I tried my hands on FNAF, and I think I need to do it justice and finish what I started. Season 3 is close, and before we head on to solving the new books and games after Help Wanted, I thought I'd finish Season 2 because it was left incomplete. So this is Five Nights Redux. So I went back and watched my previous Night 1 video where I talked about how I'm going through FNAF game by game and then work on a timeline at the end. Well, this time I'm still working to solve FNAF game by game, but I'm not gonna bother with the timeline yet. And also I missed a lot of points in my previous video, so I'd like to cover that up. First point is that I said newspaper clippings was the first lore piece introduced to us, but I'd say it's the phone calls. Like literally, the Night 1 phone call gives away so many lore pieces that I'm surprised I didn't talk about it. The biggest and the scariest lore piece is this.
The characters do tend to wander a bit. They're left in some kind of free roaming mode at night. Something about their servos locking up if they get turned off for too long. They used to be allowed to walk around during the day too, but then there was the bite of 87. Yeah. It's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe, you know?
These are the lines Phone Guy talks about. So an incident happened in 1987 where someone got bit in the head by some animatronic at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The bite victim survived but had to remove his/her frontal lobe. So this incident stopped them from letting animatronics walk around during the day. But these animatronics are allowed to walk around during the night. And if they see someone working off hours, they'll assume that it's a walking endoskeleton and will shove that endoskeleton into an animatronic suit.
If they happen to see you after hours, probably won't recognize you as a person. They'll most likely see you as a metal endoskeleton without its costume on. Now, since that's against the rules here at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, they'll probably try to forcefully stuff you inside a Freddy Fazbear suit.
Now that's a very weird design detail for animatronics which are made to either dance around children to entertain them or just serve ice cream, scoops or something else. But shoving endoskeletons into animatronic suits, who would have such an advanced AI design implemented in animatronics unless the creator had certain intentions behind it? Designing these animatronics that are capable of shoving other things that might or might not be an animatronic endoskeleton into suits. Or maybe it wasn't designed to be that way at all. Maybe it's just machine learning, or maybe it's just because those animatronics are possessed. Because we know for a fact that there was a mass murder that took place at this Freddy Fazbear's Pizza where 5 kids were loaded into the back room by a guy wearing an empty animatronic suit and then killed them all, shoved their bodies into the animatronics. We know that because the article says that the bodies were never found. So we know these animatronics are possessed by the ghosts of the mass murder victims. But then why do they do their shoving ritual? That might be because they were shoved inside an animatronic's suit. Just think, what if these kids were alive when they were shoved inside the animatronic suits by the killer? What if they died because of the innards of the animatronics? Then that would imply they're trying to apply the same kind of death to the person that killed them. Now you can say that the guy who killed these 5 kids was working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza because naturally any back room or storeroom of any restaurant is accessible only to the employees. It's either that or the murderer just snuck into the back room without anyone seeing him, which is highly unlikely. The killer was caught on camera and was also charged. So if it was an employee, then the employee must have been fired, obviously, and will probably never get offered a job there. So that rules out us as the player playing as the killer himself. It also rules out the phone guy because he's still working for Freddy's. But here's a weird detail that made me think otherwise. Phone guy on night 1 says this.
Now that wouldn't be so bad if the suits themselves weren't filled with cross beams, wires, and animatronic devices, especially around the facial area. So you can imagine how having your head forcibly pressed inside one of those could cause a bit of discomfort and death. The only parts of you that would likely see the light of day again would be your eyeballs and teeth when they pop out the front of the mask.
Phone guy knows very specifically what will happen if someone gets shoved down an animatronic body. That means either he is the killer, which is unlikely as we ruled out, or he witnessed the killer shove kids down the animatronics, which is possible because the phone guy was available, might have been around when the incident happened. And why is that? Well, phone guy has been around the company since the bite of 87. And as the bite of 87 was never mentioned in the newspaper clippings that cover the murder till literally the clipping where it says the location is going to shut down, implying the mass murders happened after the bite of 87. Or maybe Freddy Fazbear found the bodies of the kids inside the animatronics later on, after parents complained about it to the sanitation department, which is when the company took out the bodies and cleaned everything before the sanitation check. Phone guy must have seen the bodies inside the animatronics. It has to be one of these 3 reasons why he knows how it looks like when someone is shoved inside an animatronic. And you also know that phone guy dies on night 4, where we can hear someone banging on the door and moaning noises, and also the Freddy music box. Which is a bit weird considering that kind of behavior is never seen when we play as a night guard. All the animatronics attacking at once, knocking on the door like a human being knocking on the door. The only animatronic that bangs the door is Foxy when he runs into it. But actually knocking, that's very weird. This is where people started theorizing that he might have pulled a fake death for some reason, because his messages are actually recorded from a past date and are most likely a tutorial for any night guard that comes there to, night guard. So we don't actually know how old these tapes are. Have to be somewhere between 1987 and 1993, which is the date derived from the wage rates and the wage payment date. So was it an actual ghost that killed the phone guy? Was it the killer? Or did he just not die at all? Did he just fake his death to be saved from the animatronics? We don't know. We might soon find out. Also, Golden Freddy, that's just a weird one. Like, I first thought that the "It's me" text is for the killer, confirming that we are playing as the killer, but we already ruled that out. Maybe we are someone that is related to Golden Freddy. That's why we see him phase in and out of the office without using the doors. Golden Freddy is a phantom animatronic. There is no clear explanation to why Golden Freddy says "it's me" other than us being related to Golden Freddy. Golden Freddy is expressing that it's him, either lovingly or either out of revenge. Anyway, people who are confused with my approach to this series, I am going in completely blank, clean slate from the very beginning. That's why I haven't considered anything outside the first game. No books, no sequel games. Each night I will theorize about that particular game and the previous game. So for night 2 now coming, I'll assess the FNAF 2 and also few things that will answer our questions from FNAF 1. I thought this is the best way to assess FNAF if I'm doing it from the very beginning. This approach was the original intent for my previous series, but then I was stupid enough to include other factors outside FNAF 1. So this time we go in a clean slate. So just assume this video came out right after FNAF 1. So there's no other FNAF content, it's just FNAF 1. Let me know what you think, what points I missed out, and to what points you don't agree.